Going on this boat, Patriot. What trip are you doing? You select your trip, booze cruise. Your scheduled departure time is 9 o'clock p.m. Did you leave on time? Yes. If you don't leave on time, it prompts you for what time did you actually leave, because you want to log that. How many passengers do you have on board? 25. 2 crew. And I can't type, but it doesn't matter. Where's the school flag?
That's why I was.
And submit it. So sends you to the top. We're still working on the interaction, but eventually this. So it actually gives you an active trips. There's an active trips list here. That boat is out. You can see it's out. So when you come back in as a captain, all you got to do is return to port, and you schedule arrival time. Say 10:15 p.m. Did you arrive on time? Yes. Submit it. It deletes the active record. And then submits. It actually submits an email to the owner saying the boat's back. They want to know when the boat's back. That's important. They want to know if you're out, and they want to know when the boat's back. When you check the boat out at the end of the day, there's a checkout procedure. It fires an email off to the owners. Now, that being said, email's not working because we don't have Node, and Node makes everything easier, especially the email integration with the API. So what I have it doing now is it builds an email JSON and just fires it into a table in Firebase. There's a lot of persistent data that's important that you get from the manager console. So we're going to switch roles here. This is what a manager would see. If they see the vessel status, they could see exactly what's going on the boat at that time. And all of that information gets updated every time the boat gets checked in and checked out. It's a persistent table, basically. The table's always there, and it only has one value, because all that matters, you don't really care how much fuel you had last week. You only care about how much fuel you have now, because when am I going to have to buy fuel? That's pretty much it. Who's the last person to wash the boat, who added oil last, things like that. What level your black tanks are at. Eventually, the more roles you put in there, the more status you can pull up. It's the status for ice, status for how much beer do we have, how much, all that stuff is pretty important and would make it easier. So that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of what it does. It does have a customer in mind. The customer's pretty excited about taking a look at it, and hopefully we could sell it to them. Who knows?
That's awesome. Cool, guys. Anybody have any questions? Open the floor.
I got one.
Yeah.
So for it, you said that when it returns to port, it deletes the record for it. For legality reasons, you don't have to keep any paperwork or anything like that?
No, so we will keep that. And actually, you don't have to keep records of your trips.
As long as the boat's back?
As long as the boat gets back, and
okay.
You don't have to bring the same people back you left with, just the same number. As long as you bring everybody back, they don't really care. That's not statistically something they want to know about where the boat. You're supposed to have a log of trips and when the boat was checked in and checked out, but all of that actually data will be stored.
Right.
It gets fired into a record of.
It's just that the fact that you mentioned that it gets deleted once.
No, it's actually just good. So when you create a new trip, outgoing trip, it saves it in one folder, and then when you click on it to arrive, it removes it from that and pushes it
I see.
into
So
a
when you meant delete, it doesn't actually delete, it just moves.
Yeah, it moves. It creates a new table and deletes the old table. So.
From the strips. Anybody else have any questions?
It's kind of niche, but it's kind of cool too. It has a lot of growth potential.
So who came up with the overall design? The font?
James was a little late.
Well, no,
on this.
okay. Like the
It
font
was something
choices.
that I had kicking around in my head, so it's not something that I came up with a week. It's something that I had been.
No, like the font choices and all.
Oh, so
I did that.
Oh, nice.
UI design is all Ruth. Everything that you see here in fonts, and she did a majority of the she did 90% of the legwork. It was all the back end was just coded.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, no, they did all the back end. That was good. 'Cause I didn't want to touch it right now. But
We did run into some issues with GitHub, which we're not. There was a couple of spots here.
Yeah. And I think it's only because, I mean, like, realistically, I was working with inside of one branch, and then I didn't realize it until we're halfway through the project, so, and then I started breaking out and making other branches, so.
So future-proofing is definitely going to be Node-related. A lot of the stuff is life is going to get easier with Node. Building out the bartender role, which we didn't have enough time to do it. Automated email alerts with certain criteria exceed a threshold. If the fuel gets below a certain level in a certain tank, they get an email. That's all. An actual mobile app would be kind of cool, where it doesn't have to use a web browser. That's a complete possibility. If it has a financial future, there's definitely an app in its future. And historical reporting, ad hoc like creation of grabbing how much fuel each captain uses and whether you can tell whether he's running the boat harder than somebody else. Just with statistic stuff, that exceeds what Firebase really can do. That's more of a SQL type thing where you can do more selects and for sure. Eventually it will migrate off of Firebase. It's not there forever. And our challenges we ran into is Google authentication without Node.js. Bootstrap is easy and effective, and everything else feels clunky. Foundation sucks, that's what that says. And gits and commits and merges were a challenge. At one point, we deleted half of our repo, and Will deleted half of our repo. Also, a big challenge is making sure that you both weren't editing the same file at the same time. So, like, we had to basically give any changes to the HTML files to Ruth. Otherwise, if I changed them, she'd commit, and then it would unchange them. And I must have put the same ID tag on this one block 10 times, and it kept coming back as it would disappear. So that was our big challenges. Not a big challenge, it was just something we just had to manage.
Cool.
That's it. All right, sorry.
Good job, guys.